Hi, everyone. I am talking today to my friend, Tyler Mehl. We've known each other for a couple of years, and Tyler and his dad own a local property management company here in Long Beach called the Belmont Shore Land Company. And how's everything going? We haven't seen each other in person for probably like 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while. We had a meeting right before this kind of exploded and almost 2 months ago, actually.
Yeah, it's been a while. So since you're in the property management company, and one thing that I love about Tyler's business is that it's family run. I feel like they always give their property managers and their tenants a lot of personalized service, which is not always found in today's day. So how are your tenants and owners like reacting to this entire COVID situation?
Well, the one thing is on the owner side, they've all been extremely understanding. From what I know, and I don't have the clearest insight into every one of their financial situations, I have a feeling that most of them run somewhere in the middle of being wealthy versus living off the money that they receive from the rental. So most people probably fall into a comfortable space where they can do without for a while, but if not receiving rent, they have to come out of pocket for a lot of expenses, and it might be tight, especially with property taxes and insurance to cover all those bills. But for the most part, all my owners have been understanding. They know what's going on. On the tenant side, it's been much different. We have tenants who are still working, making plenty of money, haven't been affected at all, versus tenants who are completely shut down. What we seem to notice is that tenants who rent one bedrooms and studios tend to have more part-time jobs, more hourly jobs, jobs they can't do from home. And those were the first people to be let go. And a lot of them, if they were hourly workers, have already received unemployment benefits, received the assistance checks. It is slow. Some people still haven't got them. But it seems that the people mostly affected are the people in the smaller units. People with houses tend to have salaried positions, the ability to work from home. And out of 40 some odd houses that we manage, I've only had issues with payment on 2, and 1 last month, and it seems that they've already recovered, and it looks like 1 this month. But most of the tenants who work in the service industry are having financial issues right now.
And what do you see that's going to happen in the future as if COVID continues on? I mean, I know our governor is going to be opening up certain businesses on Friday. I'm personally not part of that phase, but hopefully be in phase 3. It sounds like a lot of your owners are very understanding and they're being flexible. But at some point in time, I mean, it's going to be hard for them perhaps to carry on being that reasonable and understanding.
Yes, it is. But a lot of the buildings that we're noticing the issues in are multi-unit buildings, 8 to 12 units per building. And if they have 2 units that are struggling, they have 6 units that are paying in full. Over the last month, this month is not complete in collecting rent, so I can't give you up-to-date statistics on this month, but last month we received 95% of our rents. This month, a few of the people who couldn't pay last month have already paid. But I'm sure I'll get a few new people who can't pay this month, who have run through their savings or have been laid off at a later date, forced to take a pay cut. I have received phone calls about, hey, I'm good for the next few months, but I've been asked to take a pay cut starting June 1st or July 1st, or I have savings for 3 months. And I haven't started to receive unemployment yet. So I'm not sure exactly how it will turn out, but I have a feeling that more and more people will run into problems the longer this goes. Because I am not sure about how quickly the government's going to pick up the slack in terms of these unemployment payments, because so many people have applied, and there are a lot of independent contractors out there who've just been able to apply when they weren't before. So that was one conversation I had today. We had a tenant who's an independent contractor and hasn't worked in 2 months, and she has just applied for unemployment. And she hasn't paid a dime.
Wow. Well, I know that at least temporarily, all the owners are prevented from doing unlawful detainers in an attempt to get their tenants out. Do you foresee that that's something that's going to be happening in the next month or so? I mean, I don't even remember what the date was. I know there was a certain period that after a certain date you could initiate the unlawful detainer. That's obviously subject to change by the governor. So what have you heard about that?
I've heard that will probably be extended. I believe the original date was June 1st. That was the date in the Long Beach City Ordinance, but I think they will be extending it on the California level. We know that they will have a certain amount of time to pay back their back rent. So we cannot do an unlawful detainer on somebody if they haven't paid back rent in 2 months. So they will not be punished for the rent that they have not paid between March and the end of May. But I see that possibly extending. They're talking about opening up phase 2 this Friday. I'm not entirely sure who that includes and doesn't include, but I know from our former tipper, Tula, is the salon does not open until phase 3. And that's the way. And one of my tenants hardest hit works at a nail salon, and she won't go back until phase 3. So I have a feeling they'll extend some of this stuff. Going 2 months without paying rent is going to be difficult to come back from. Going 3, 4, 5 months might be impossible. How we're going to approach that, I'm not sure. Originally, when discussing this issue with my dad, we had formulated something similar to what they applied in Long Beach, which was, we're not going to punish people for not being able to pay rent. And then when this ends and they go back to work, we'll set up a payment plan. The city kind of beat us to the punch and set a law which makes it good. I don't have to convince any of my owners. I can now say this is the rule of law. The issue is going to be, it's going to be very difficult to pay back 2 months rent over a 6-month period. I have a feeling that will be extended. Where we come in is our decision making is, if somebody is paying and making an attempt to pay back that rent, it is better than going forward with an unlawful detainer. Even after they start allowing this, the courts are going to be bogged down. It's already really hard to get a court date. Last time I was in court 3 years ago, the court was not able to have the eviction and said we would have to go to Chatsworth to proceed with the case. I was lucky enough that the tenant who we were evicting didn't have a car, and she signed the paperwork because of that. But that being said, if they allow evictions, the court will be filled. So we always tell owners, if you have to proceed with an eviction, you are probably not going to recuperate any of your money. And that would be the case with this. So the best decision is, if you have a nice person, a good person, who is making an attempt to pay back the rent, you might want to be flexible with that payback period versus cutting them off at 6 months and saying, sorry, you're out.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that the city of Long Beach has made some changes to its ordinances about, landlord tenant issues. So what are the other, can you name like 2 or 3 ordinances that have been changed that have impacted your business in a good way or even a bad way? Just some things that people should be aware of if they're renting, or if they're the person that's renting out a house or an apartment in Long Beach.
Well, the good thing is for a management company is I now have a set of rules that I can follow. And even though I think this is the best way to operate, you don't always share your viewpoint with the owners. We're very lucky in that we've worked with a lot of our owners for a long time and they trust us to do the right thing. But this kind of sets a guideline. It also allows me to be a little inflexible, which is nice because we do get a lot of requests for personalized situations from tenants, asking to reduce rent, to work with them in some different ways. And it's nice to say, hey, this is how we're doing it for now. Once this is over, we can provide flexibility and we can discuss it, but we want to get a bigger view of what's going on before we make any concrete decisions, because an owner's reaction to what's going on will be different if they're owed $1,000 versus $10,000. And eliminating the evictions is good because not only is it ethical, it's a financial right decision to make. It's going to cost you way more money to proceed with an eviction. It is the one thing that they've said we can require is a reason for non-payment of rent. I found that most people don't want to give that, but that's good. It gives us the ability to track this. And if people say, hey, I can't pay rent, they have to be able to prove it, which is nice. It doesn't give a free pass to anybody. It keeps their rent in place. Good thing about the ordinance is they didn't include that much. They set a guideline and it was a simple guideline to follow.
Well, it sounds like you can kind of you can use that guideline as a way for you to create your own way or procedure of running your business, right? As long as you don't run afoul of the ordinance, obviously,
Yes.
right? So how has COVID affected your management of the buildings? Other than, I'm sure you wear gloves, you wear a mask, what else have you guys been doing to protect yourselves?
We've actually been keeping our office locked. We have a mail slot, so people drop off rent through the mail slot. We let it sit for a few days just in case. We know we've had 2 tenants come down with COVID-19. They've both since recovered. And unfortunately, I forgot to lock the door the other day, and he was the one person in.
Of course.
But we're asking all tenants with non-essential repairs if they can wait. Mostly plumbing repairs are essential repairs. Some of the handyman repairs are not essential. But we ask that everybody's wearing masks when they go in properties. We're doing all of our showings via a lockbox, so we don't have to attend them. We've been using lockboxes on apartments for years. We find that they're very safe. In 12 years of doing this, I've never had a break-in related to the lockbox. But it provides social distancing for showing the properties. I don't have to be there and expose myself, and people looking at properties don't want to do that either. On vacancies, we've only had a few. We just make sure there's a large amount of time in between one set of people going in versus another, in terms of after the repairs are done, we wait a few days, then send the carpet guy over, wait a few days, and then we get the place cleaned. So they don't run into each other. They're not working in the same space together, and everybody is maintaining their distance. So it's worked out. It hasn't been too difficult. We checked with all of our vendors. Some of them are not working as much. The electricians, a lot of their work is inside, and they've been avoiding inside work and just primarily doing exterior work. Luckily, we haven't had too many problems. The plumbers still working, wearing masks when they go in any property when tenants are home. Since most people are home right now, they do run into each other a lot. So it's a problem. We ask everybody whether they're comfortable having somebody in their place, whether they're willing to wait, and letting people be adults and make their own decisions, but also presenting them with the options that we have.
Mhm. Cool. Well, thank you. You gave us a lot of useful information. Probably I learned a couple of things talking to you. And I appreciate your time in doing this with me. And I hope to see you in person real soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
All right. Take care, Tyler. Talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.